Hi, everybody. Douglas V. Gibbs here, and this is not necessarily a constitutional podcast video or a constitution study video. I am the Constitution guy, but, or as Mike in a recent comment said, the constitutional guru. Appreciate that, Mike. Thank you. This is just a general video. Politics are going to be in it. We're going to talk a little bit of politics, but I just got to thinking about something today. When I served in the U.S. military, I'm a United States Navy veteran. I incurred a head injury. I'm deaf in my left ear. I'm going to have ringing in my ear. Tore up my left knee real bad. And a few other things. What was considered in the line of duty. And so through this coronavirus thing, my wife and I financially have been okay. Because I received my VA benefit, not 100%, but I received something and it helps out. And my wife has been doing online orders at the place at the store she works. The store is essentially closed, but they've got her doing online orders, so she's been working, and so we're doing okay. And about 6 years ago, I essentially retired as a truck driver and as a construction worker before that, and began doing the Constitution stuff full time. And about 2 years ago, the neurologist at VA think it has something to do with the left temporal fracture that I suffered. I began having episodes of vertigo. Now, vertigo, for those of you who drink, think about the times that you drank so much that the whole room was spinning. Now imagine that room spinning about 4 or 5 times faster and harsher, and it lasting all day, or at least 4 or 5 hours minimum. That's vertigo. You actually become nauseated from the motion sickness. Usually if I haven't eaten, I wind up dry heaving. Otherwise, I wind up, losing my lunch. And so I've been suffering from vertigo for the last couple years, and it doesn't hit me constantly, but every once in a while. Tail end of last year, I was getting it so often that and the beginning of the year, I was having trouble doing any videos. And so people were seeing a long span of time between videos. I'm now trying to do more videos because I've learned that a lot of people appreciate them. And I appreciate those of you who follow, and I would love to see the hit count get, into the thousands. Right now it's, hundreds, or 100. That's okay. And the reason why I bring this up is because I went through an episode of Vertigo today. It's been a couple months since the last time I did, and this one was particularly nasty. I had a vertigo. It stopped for about 10 minutes, and then I went right into another one. So for about 10 hours, I was clinging to my bed, sweating, dry heaving, and spinning. And I tell people when I'm in the middle of vertigo, I've got 2 thoughts in my head. Thought number 1, Lord, please make it stop. And thought number 2, Lord, if it doesn't stop, kill me now. It's just that bad of a situation. I teach Constitution classes locally, in person, a Tuesday class in Corona, and at a classroom that's above a auto collision place. The owner, because of his nervous employees over the coronavirus, have asked that we not hold the classes for a while. We tried to reinstate them a few weeks ago, and to his employees' horror, every single student came in without a mask, and we were huddled in there pretty tightly and hugging and kissing because it'd been a while, and that just freaked them out. And so, it's okay. I get it. The owner, I'm good friends with him, and he's, I think politically right there with me on the coronavirus, but nonetheless, he owns a business, and if his employees are nervous, well, he gets nervous. He doesn't need lawsuits and things like that. So that class is on hiatus. The one on Wednesday nights, tonight, this video I'm doing is, let's see here, Wednesday, July 15th, I've been holding. I got the okay from the owner of, the landlord of the facility that I use weeks ago, and they haven't said not to, so we've continued to hold our classes on Wednesday nights. And last Monday, I met some new people, and so tonight I was pretty excited because I knew we were going to have a lot of new students. And the class is usually about a dozen people. Sometimes we get up to a couple dozen. I remember when Obama was in office and I was holding these classes, I'd get 50 people. Obama made them nervous, so everybody flocked to the classes. To make a long story short, I had to cancel tonight's class because of the vertigo. And news got to me by text later on. 7 people had gathered outside the door wondering where the teacher was. the new people who didn't get the email that I was incapacitated and would be unable to do the class. And it was pretty frustrating for me. Oh man, I'm thinking about just postponing it tomorrow night, and we'll do it tomorrow night. Hopefully everybody gets the word out. But anyway, that all said, and that kind of helps explain for some of you viewers who are curious about my health issues. That's one of the health issues I deal with. And because of the vertigo, I also, in the last couple of years, have balance issues suddenly. I mean, I've always had balance issues, being deaf on my left ear. So my equilibrium is off. Balance issues are pretty nasty now. And so I walk with a cane most of the time, not because I need it to walk, but because I need it to keep from falling over. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video is because vertigo was on my mind. And I got to thinking, I wonder if vertigo is sort of what it's like to be a liberal. Now, hear me out on this. When things are spinning and it's out of control and I don't know which way is up, I'm willing to do anything to make it stop. Anything. And I'm wondering if these people are so offended because they've been programmed to be, so angry because they've been programmed to be, public school system, entertainment industry, the political folks out there, is it like that scratch they can't reach? And it's driving them so nuts they got to lash out just to scratch that itch? Is it like vertigo where everything's out of control that they're willing to do anything to make it stop? Include attack those they believe are behind their affliction? Now, I've long held that, let me back up. Michael Savage has a book by this title, and I was saying something similar before his book came out, but liberalism is a mental disorder. And I'm really starting to believe that is the case. I've always kind of believed that. But, I mean, I'm really starting to think, there's something really seriously wrong. Their world is spinning as if in vertigo. They're trying to hold on to something. And because they don't believe in liberty, because they don't believe in the Constitution, they don't believe in God in most cases, and if they do, it's a warped version of God. They don't believe in morality, so they set those things aside because there's something better to believe in, and they're reaching, they can't seem to find it, and it's got to be frustrating because their lives have this giant hole in them. They have this giant hole in their lives. They can't fill that void. Christ, liberty, individuality, those are the things that they're looking for, but they reject them, so they're looking for something else, and the thing they're looking for is staying out of their reach. And so it's driving them crazy. Crazy enough to burn their own cities. Crazy enough to become so hypocritical that they don't even realize it. Oh, we hate racism, so therefore we're going to be racist against whites. We hate Trump's border wall, so we're going to create an autonomous zone and put a border wall around it. Right? And so while I'm going through the vertigo, I'm not thinking this, but afterwards I'm thinking, wow, I've had it all wrong. I've been angry at these idiots. And to be honest with you, I should be feeling bad for them. These poor people. They're in political vertigo. They don't know which way is up. It's got to be horrible. It's funny because tonight's class, let me back up. Last Wednesday's class, a black Democrat who didn't necessarily say he was BLM, but Black Lives Matter, but his the things he said was right in line with it. So I'm figuring he's sympathetic to Black Lives Matter. And he's on my email list. Showed up to the class, got there late. At the end of the class, which is probably good because he didn't disrupt the class. And I wound up talking politics with him for 2.5 hours, and 3 or 4 people hung around. Answered questions, and at one point he realized I'm an originalist when it comes to the Constitution. And when he said it, it was almost like it was painful to say, you're an originalist. I said, yeah, I should answer a lot of your questions right there if you know all about originalism. He says, well, I'm going to be back next week with friends. Well, of the 7 people that were waiting for my class tonight, he wasn't in there. And I recognized him. He said we'd never met before, but I recognized him. I know how he got on my email list. I gave him a card years ago. I was on a panel for the NAACP. To the right of me was the mayor of the city and the vice mayor of the city, Marietta. To my left was the chief of police, armed, which I came to appreciate later in the meeting. There were also cops at the 2 corners of the room. And then to his left, interestingly, to his left, was a Muslim professor, a Democrat Party club president in the area, a Latina leader, Hispanic leader, another black gentleman. I can't remember what his job was. It was I can't remember what it was. He was attached to an association, and then at the very end, the president of the local chapter of the NAACP. I was invited because I'm friends with the vice president of that chapter of the NAACP. He's a conservative Puerto Rican guy, and they love him. He doesn't talk party, he just talks common sense, and while they don't always accept what he has to say, they think, well, that's a new idea, and I hadn't thought of that before. He's like a missionary to the NAACP. But anyway, and so I'm in this meeting, and the kneeling for the NFL was going on, and the question was, what did I think of the kneeling, Kaepernick and the kneeling in the NFL? Maybe that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. But whenever it was, 3 years ago, whatever it was. But I was asked that question, what do I think of the kneeling? And there have been some protests. I think Ferguson was, still in recent memory. And I basically said, in the First Amendment, there are 5 rights that are enumerated, and one of them is peaceably assemble. And based on the spirit of the First Amendment, I totally supported everybody's allowance to protest. Protest all you want. Kneel if you want. I'm not happy with it, but hey, if the private company that pays your paycheck is letting you, okay. But I do not accept these violent protests and burning the neighborhoods and attacking cops. That is not a peaceable assembly. And a gentleman in the back of the room wearing an Air Force veteran's hat, by the way, the gentleman who visited my class last week had on an Air Force veteran's hat, shouted from the back of the room, I ain't going to have no white man telling me how to protest. And the room erupted into that I'm a racist and shouting, or at least half the room did. Half the room tolerated me, half the room hated me, and then about the half a dozen people that were there who were friends of mine applauded. All these years, and he's watched all of this suffering. He's watched his cities that are run by Democrats slide deeper into poverty, and hasn't figured out yet that the party he's voting for is not for him, they're against him. I've been accused recently of putting too much into the parties, because when it comes to the machine, the establishment, parties don't matter. It's all the same. It's all about money and power. But on the surface, there's still some Republicans that believe in the Constitution. I haven't found any Democrats that do. So I am a registered Republican. Because of the 2 vessels, that's the vessel I have the best chance of achieving things through. I'm not a fan of parties. I did a video on 2-party system. If you go to douglasvgibbs.com/videos.php, I'll put the link down below the video too. You can find the one I did on parties. I actually cataloged all the videos I've done. So if you go to that page, you can find all the videos, or almost all of them, links to almost all of them, or at least all the political ones. And I thought to myself this afternoon, after I came out of my vertigo, oh my gosh, that man is suffering from political vertigo. Things are spinning. It's out of control, and he doesn't know which way to reach. And he's just wanting something to pull him out of it. but he's rejecting the things that will and can. It's amazing to me that people have the truth right in front of their face and they can't see it. The Bible says something about scales over their eyes in the end times and all that. Not that I mean to get prophetic and religious with you, but I've also said, if you're not a godly people, if we're not a godly people, we're not capable of the Constitution. There's all kinds of quotes I could cite you. Benjamin Franklin, only virtuous people are capable of freedom. John Adams' quip about that the Constitution was made only for moral and religious people. I could talk about George Washington saying that the only supports for our system, God, morality, and so on and so forth. Samuel Adams talks about the importance of being a godly people if we're going to be capable of this Constitution. George Washington's farewell address hammered it home, man. Vertigo. Political vertigo. I don't hate these people. I'm not angry with them. I feel really bad for them. These poor people. They're suffering. That's why I do the videos and that's why I do the classes. I'm hoping to get the truth out to them. So to finalize what I'm saying here in my video, I told my Black Lives Matter visitor last Wednesday, he's welcome to attend the classes and be sure to bring friends. All I ask is during the class they're not disruptive. Take notes and listen. Afterwards, if you want to have the verbal death match of political debate, I'm for it. I love talking. I love debating. But during the class, don't disrupt. Learn. Listen. Because how are we going to plant seeds if we're not talking to the other side? How are we going to plant seeds? So for those of you who live in Southern California and you're a Democrat and you're watching this video and you're like, pooey, come see me. Go to douglasvgibbs.com, hit the classes link, find out where I do classes. Just a warning, July 22nd, next Wednesday, I will not be holding class. I'll be out of state. I've got to go up to Oregon and coming back. And then after that, every Wednesday, I would love to see you there. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe that class is the cure you've been waiting for your political vertigo. Maybe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. United we stand. Combined we kick butt. God bless America, my friends. God bless you. Thank you. And we'll see you next time.